Zena Cardman is a NASA astronaut from Williamsburg, Virginia, who got her start at Carolina. Cardman earned a Bachelor of Science in Biology and Master of Science in Marine Sciences from UNC-Chapel Hill. And now she's in the middle of training for her first space flight. Cardman was selected as a NASA astronaut in 2017. Since completing her initial training, she has supported real-time station operations and development for lunar surface exploration. She will lead as commander of NASA's Crew 9 mission. Her 4-person crew will join the International Space Station later this year. They will conduct a wide range of operational and research activities during their long-duration mission. During her time at Carolina, Cardman was heavily involved in research of microbial systems, particularly in extreme environments. Her research took her all over the world, including the Arctic and the Antarctic, and we're extremely lucky to have her return to Chapel Hill before she heads out of this world. Please join me in welcoming your commencement speaker, Zena Cardman.
Carolina, my goodness. It is so good to be home. This is incredible to see you here. This may also be the first time I will leave Kenan Stadium without a sunburn. I am so humbled to stand in front of this many Tar Heels, especially a class that has shown resilience, grit, and a deep sense of service and moral conviction to match your academic brilliance. You made it through a pandemic, lockdowns, tragedy, and upheaval, and you still work together in advocacy for greater causes and for those who do not have a voice. You have made injustice your enemy. You lift each other up. That is a Carolina legacy I am honored to be part of. I am in awe, too, of today's honorary degree recipients whose contributions to the arts, human rights, and public service have truly changed the world on local and global scales. Class of 2024, you inspire me. To the entire class, to your families, friends, chosen families, and all who support you, this day is yours. If you're at all like I was at my college graduation, you are proud, you are full of hope, you are also exhausted and a bit scared. For all the opportunity that lies ahead, new beginnings always come with a great deal of uncertainty. Either way, what's probably really on your mind in this moment is that standing between you and a proper celebration is this commencement address. In August, my crew and I will climb atop a 200-foot tall rocket filled with 1 million pounds of fuel and oxidizer. In about 75 seconds after liftoff, that rocket will be 10 kilometers that way, passing through maximum dynamic pressure, becoming supersonic. In less than 10 minutes, we'll be in orbit, traveling 5 miles per second, chasing down a space station where we will live and work for 6 months. So, with that context, I have to tell you, truthfully, that giving this speech is the most terrifying thing I will do this year. Carolina, I know you can accomplish great things because you already have, and you don't need my advice. I will only suggest that the definition of great things, of success or fulfillment, is entirely up to you, and the path won't always be obvious. The best journeys begin at Carolina, and mine did too. I was drawn to studying biology, which I didn't exactly see as a clear path to NASA, but it was the only subject I knew I loved. Even then, I kept getting distracted, spending arguably too much time in other departments or off campus, gathering experiences and really a lot of mud from a various obscure corner of the planet. I often assumed all of this was actually drawing me farther from a notional goal of someday flying in space. So at some point, I had to separate using that goal as motivation from letting the goal be my definition of success. I feel very lucky that despite, or maybe because of my unconventional academic choices, I got this opportunity to work at NASA and to be part of something much bigger than myself. I felt at home in my new job, but I still struggled to define what success or failure was going to mean for myself. As a student, the easy definition of success is graduating. As an astronaut, the easy definition is flying to space, but it can be a long wait. My first assignment came in the role of backup crew member. The prime crew included my classmate, and my mission was to get all the training she got so that if something happened, I could take her place. Some well-intentioned friends asked how I might plot sabotage so that I could fly, but those were hollow jokes. If your goal requires cutting down someone else to get there, you need a different goal. The real gift of this assignment as a backup was the chance to redefine success on my own terms, and it didn't need to rely on me launching. In fact, my chosen definition of success in this case meant explicitly me not launching. In this supporting role, I found a greater sense of purpose than I had in any other role. Her launch is still my favorite launch I've ever seen. I did eventually get my own flight assignment. I'll be flying as the commander of Crew 9, though many voices, including my own, many voices have pointed out that I am young, I am a rookie, I am a civilian, I am not a test pilot, but I haven't allowed myself time to dwell on insecurities because there's so much to learn. Engineering systems, emergency procedures, robotics, launch vehicles, mechanical repair, spacewalking, and, most importantly, how to live and work together when the stakes are real. In my world, trust and empathy are critical technical abilities. Expeditionary skills like that can be practiced in the wilderness, and so NASA has long facilitated sending its crews on courses with NOLS, the National Outdoor Leadership School, in part because we understand the value of being uncomfortable together. I love the opportunity to build team skills through challenge like this, while also strengthening a relationship with the natural world and this planet that, as astronauts, we are working so apparently hard to leave. I had been on NOLS courses before, and it was the only training that I requested as must-have for my crew. The first NOLS trip I ever went on was with my classmates as new astronauts. We went to the Canyonlands in Utah, where huge sculptural cliffs make the place look an awful lot like the surface of Mars, except for the juniper and the scorpions. It's a tough environment for heavy backpacking, and it did not take long for a third of us to rip holes in the seats of our pants. The days were full of stories and laughter, and also blisters and low morale. Water is not abundant without hiking or rappelling down into the canyons, and so we mostly scooped rainwater from shallow, silty puddles in the slick rock, using the lids of our water bottles as ladles. Sometimes, what you have been missing suddenly finds its way to you in overabundance, and indeed, we got caught one evening in an epic thunderstorm. We put on rain gear, which for most of us was a jacket and pants, except for my classmate Johnny, who had with him what I would call a tactical poncho. Johnny was a Navy SEAL earlier in his career. He's well acquainted with physical discomfort, an expert in the field, and the kind of person you can count on, no matter how early you've woken up, to somehow have already made coffee for his tent mates. That night after dinner, with rain still pouring down, we were hunkered under a rocky overhang, grumpy that our last pair of dry socks were no longer dry, just trying to stay warm. And there was Johnny, out in the rain, doing the dishes in his tactical forest camo poncho. He was holding the extra fabric of the poncho in front of him, using it to funnel an incredible volume of rain directly into the cooking pots. Caught in the light of a headlamp, he grinned and said, "Look at all this free water." It was such a pure moment, and one I think of often. In times of uncertainty and discomfort, choosing optimism and humor can change your whole mood in an instant. More importantly, it can lift an entire group. The effect you have on others is one of your most potent gifts. Your impact on the world comes from small moments like that one, simple daily choices integrated over a lifetime. My crew had our renewals course in December, this time in the middle of Wyoming. The Continental Divide in winter is beautiful and chilly. There's plenty of free water, it's just all frozen. We slept in shelters carved with shovels from giant piles of snow. We cooked dinners on countertops made of snow, and we even wiped our butts with snowballs. I wish I was kidding. Unless you were feeling really fancy, and then you might use one precious and meticulously folded wet wipe. If you're smarter than I am, you sleep with your little pack of wet wipes inside your sleeping bag, because wiping your butt with a frozen solid wet wipe, I assure you, is actually way less comfortable than just using the snowball. The easiest way to transport your stuff in an environment like this is hauling most of it on a sled, attached to your hips with a harness. As you walk, you drag the sled along with you, and its weight packs the snow beneath it. The next person in line follows your sled, and their sled in turn packs the snow just a little bit more. A trail starts to form behind you as you walk. Physically, the hardest job is up front, so we took turns breaking trail. Sometimes the ground was flat, and I could go for a long time at the front of the line. Sometimes the terrain was steep, and I could barely manage breaking trail for one hill. The real work happened at night around the campfire, when we could set down the sleds and enjoy the luxury of time to share stories and get to truly know our teammates. In this setting, breaking trail is the choice to open up to each other, to address conflict, misunderstandings, or insecurities, to share praise, to ask questions, and to listen. One person's vulnerability inspired the next person to share theirs. We learned what our teammates were really carrying in their sleds, the heavy intangibles besides food and sleeping bags. And to have our stories really heard by the team began to lighten our load day by day. I would love to tell you that we climbed a mountain in this manner, that there was some tremendous physical allegory for us to overcome, and through teamwork and determination we managed to reach the summit. But that's not what happened. After what felt like many days of enormous effort, we checked the map and began to realize we'd barely gone a few miles. When we reemerged from the woods, the spot where we'd been dropped off wasn't even out of view around the curve of a nondescript road. More snow has fallen since then, covering our tracks, and by the time we launch, the snow will have completely melted, and there will be no sign at all of what we did, except in the ways we changed each other. It was never about the distance or the altitude. It was about building trust and connection. I'm so grateful that I got to know my crew in that setting, and now I get to fly to space with my friends and my heroes. We have the privilege of taking on something hard together, but it's going to be easy because my crew are as selfless, humble, and supportive as they are technically capable. Our care for each other will define success for our mission to the International Space Station more than any spacewalk or experiment. I think the only thing that scares me now is having to eventually come home. Success is yours to define, and your team is yours to build. Even if you aren't sure what you want to become, you already know who you are. You know your values, what brings you joy, what questions make you curious. You know the people who matter to you. The most important things you'll do may not ever go on a resume and will often be thankless. My mom is in the audience today and can probably attest to that. She was a trailblazer and made the path easier for me. You all have so much possibility ahead, a huge field of untouched snow and unlimited paths to take. If you want to be a trailblazer, just start walking. You don't actually have to know where you're going if you know who you're doing it for. And the most transformative journeys often don't take you very far at all. There will be some flat terrain, some steep terrain, and an unknown number of icy streams to cross. You've probably already learned that some people carry more than they're able to in their sleds. Some carry less than they should. Your own sled will get stuck sometimes. Other days it will feel light. You are not alone. You will need help, and you will give help. You will take turns leading and following. You are already experts at navigating unexpected topographies that were not even on the map, and your work will make the trail easier for many who come after you. Class of 2024, I am so proud of you. Part of your story will always be here, and I cannot wait to see where the journey takes you. Thank you for sharing this day with me. Congratulations, and go Heels.